But Matt Gaetz does not believe that he wants Donald Trump to be the next Speaker of the House. I'm sorry. I know he does not.
Elon Musk.
No, not
It wouldn't
that
be him
either.
anyway, because he announced today that he's backing Kevin McCarthy. Like that matters, but add it onto the pile.
Come on.
Add it onto the pile. Elon Musk did put out a statement saying that he thinks that Republicans should rally behind Kevin McCarthy and get the show on the road.
Isn't it so interesting how popular culture, like Elon Musk, has played so much into politics?
Yeah.
It's gone on for a very long time, but I feel like
But it's almost like they're involved now.
very involved. I mean, I know that Beyonce and Jay-Z.
We talk about Elon Musk like we talk about Congress people,
Yes,
senators.
Yeah, he is in the same sentence. As representatives or senators.
Yeah.
I mean, it's wild I guess Donald Trump started that. I mean, Ronald Reagan probably started it. But Donald Trump was someone in my generation that started this blend of pop culture, fame, Hollywood, and politics.
Yeah.
Bundled up into one.
Yeah. Musicians and actors and athletes that are known almost as much for, or in some cases even more, for their political beliefs than the sport they play or their music or their movies, which has not happened.
I think that
recently.
you just had a premonition. I think someone will say Elon Musk. I think that you just had
I got another name
a
for
premonition.
I got another name for you. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay.
Right.
You know what? Okay.
Speaker "The Rock."
Matthew McConaughey. All right. Next guy. That's the next one up.
Who could it be? Could be any of those people. It really could at this point. Who knows?
Truly.
Maybe somebody who can. Maybe somebody who's got some insight on how this could finally play out is our friend Nick Schroer, former state representative, now state senator. The Missouri legislative session kicked off yesterday, and the new senator, Nick Schroer, is going to join us here in a moment. We'll talk about what they're going to be working on here for the people of Missouri, and also get his thoughts on what's happening in the Capitol. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie. Follow Katie Fitzpatrick on Twitter at KFitzTalks. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Thursday, Tim and Chris are both back in studio. We'll speak with Dr. Randy Tobler on the battle for the gavel.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
If 2023 is the year that you need to raise some money for an organization that you're a part of, like a school or a church, or as we enter a new season, if you have a kid that belongs to a sports team or a dance club or something that needs to raise money for travel or uniforms or equipment or anything like that, there's no better way to raise big money fast in the St. Louis area than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. But you already know that because TJ's Pizza Fundraising has been the number one fundraising company in the St. Louis area for decades. In their 30-plus years, they have literally raised tens of millions of dollars for their customers, and they continue to get better year after year, especially if it's your first fundraiser or your first fundraiser in a while. The customer service will help you step by step every step of the way to make sure you are maximizing your profits. They are always creating new ways and having various options that you can take advantage of, like the pop-up fundraiser to help you meet your goals and within the time frame that you're looking to meet them in as well. And, of course, they will always be number one because of their products. TJ's Pizza is known for their customer service and their huge profit margins, but even more for their products. TJ's pizzas are delicious. The pies, the cookie doughs, everything else that you can get through a TJ's Pizza fundraiser are just fantastic. So if you need to raise big money now, get started at tjspizza.com.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
When is a financial help show not just a financial help show? When it's Pocket Watching with JT, the caller-driven financial talk show focused on helping you get your money right. Jason Thornton is a certified financial planner licensed in both tax and investments. You get JT's real reaction to all your money and business questions. Plus, you get JT's take on all the latest financial news. This is not just another financial show. Pocket Watching with JT now every Friday night at 8 p.m. on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Mark Harder, county councilman for St. Louis County.
Did you have a mullet, Mark?
Oh.
You know, actually, I did used to grow a little bit longer in the back.
Okay, before we get into serious stuff, I went to that metal concert with the 80s metal bands. In between the sets, I was mullet hunting with my camera and sending my wife pictures of some of the best mullets.
You know they're coming back.
That's what I've heard. We need to put a stop to that.
Yeah, please.
Weekday mornings, 5:30 to 9 on News Talk STL.
If the only thing I had was this shirt upon my back, could you still love me?
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. As we were talking about in that last segment, not only do we have all of this drama unfolding in the nation's capital surrounding these votes for speaker, we have a brand new legislative session starting here in the state of Missouri, and the brand new Missouri senator, our old friend Nick Schroer, is on the phone with us. Mr. Senator, how are you, my friend?
Hey, it's got a good ring to that. I am excellent. Just got back into St. Charles County after we kicked off the first official couple days of the 2023 session.
So I do want to get your thoughts before we wrap up the conversation today on what's happening in the Capitol, in the nation's capital, with pretty much unprecedented, certainly in our lifetime, unprecedented situation as the circus surrounding who's going to be the next Speaker of the House continues to unfold. But first, I want to talk to you, obviously, about the people's business and what you will be working on in Jeff City this year. Of the show, in the last 24 hours, I have seen various headlines from various news publications across the state of Missouri that all started with the number one priority of this legislative session, or top priority, and every headline had a different issue as what was going to be the number one or the top priority or the first priority of this legislative body. It was, one was schools, one was crime, one was taxes, one was sports betting, which are all very important things. I know you'll be dealing with all of them, but they all can't be first. So I don't know, maybe it's too early in the process. We're only a day into this session, but do we have an idea of kind of what is going to be some of these first issues that you guys attempt to tackle this year?
Yeah, I think it's 1A and 1B. I think schools, and it's all encompassing when I mention schools, from enacting a Parents' Bill of Rights. That was something that we passed out of the House last year, but they couldn't get it done in the Senate. Now I'm over in the Senate. Hopefully that'll get done. But we've got the Parents' Bill of Rights. There's school choice, expanding options, so kids aren't tied down to the schools, the government schools that are in their zip code. Hopefully they can have their parents send them to whatever school is going to be best for them and their upbringing. Getting women, protecting women's sports, getting men out of women's sports, all of those things that are in that school issue. had been addressed in past sessions in the House, had not been done in the Senate. So I know the leaders in the Senate and the House have said, look, touching schools, standing up for our kids, protecting parents' choice when it comes to the curriculum and seeing where taxpayer dollars are going, that is going to be a major priority. But I think 1B, listening to Speaker Dean Plocher, Caleb Rowden in the Senate, and even talking to the governor's staff, crime is a massive problem that's impacting all the big bustling metropolises, all the big cities that should be the economic generators of the state of Missouri. And I know that the governor, we're working on a bill right now, I should have drafted and filed next week to tackle some of this crime issues that we're seeing going unaddressed, going unprosecuted, rather, in the city of St. Louis. So I would say 1A and 1B would be, yes, schools, school choice, and then crime.
So you are, you're still a relatively young man and quite attractive, I might add. How many years have you served in the legislative body now?
So I was in the House for 6 total years, and then this is my second day as a senator.
So reason
we're starting 7th year.
Gotcha. The reason I ask is because I knew you'd been there a while, but it's not a situation. It's not like Nancy Pelosi. It's not like you've been there decades. So in just 6 years, one of the things that you just said put this in my mind. Did you ever think 6 years ago when you started that you would be going into a legislative session and have to say the words out loud, we're going to work on getting men out of women's sports?
No.
6 years ago, when you started your career in Missouri politics, could you have ever guessed that you would have to say that sentence?
No, it's kind of weird that you say that, because I was describing some of these things like that. I feel like you're trapped in a wormhole, or I don't know, just upside down, because you've got that issue, men wanting to play in women's sports. We just had this guy who committed a heinous murder of his former girlfriend 20 plus years ago, and then transitions while he's in prison. And now the left was trying to save his life because he's the quote unquote first transgender that was put to death in the state of Missouri. Let's not focus on what the guy actually did, murdering somebody, taking somebody's life. You've got a Democrat Party that is still hell-bent on defunding the police. And that's another thing. You would have never convinced me 6 years ago when I stepped foot in the Capitol the first time that there would actually be a party who is 100% serious on taking money away from law enforcement officers and sending it elsewhere. But yeah, I think this is the world that we live in right now. It's not the Democrat Party of JFK. It's not your grandparents' Democrat Party anymore that was focusing on tax cuts or standing up for the working class. This is like, to me, it's weird, crazy circus world. And you just look in D.C. when their priorities are all out of whack and not in line with what is actually going to help the people here in the state of Missouri. I
couldn't agree more. And that I'm glad you brought that up, the situation with the with the inmate being put to death, and the whole idea that was being pushed that this is the first transgender person that has been that's been executed. He wasn't transgender when he committed his crimes. He wasn't. He didn't identify as anything differently when he committed his crimes, or for his first many years in prison. And the fact that he decided to change his gender identity as he got closer to his execution date should have nothing to do with any legal or criminal action, result, repercussion, punishment that he was serving. It has nothing to do with it, and yet there was many in the media and in politics trying to somehow make that part of the story.
Use it.
It's insane.
Well, even the post-disgrace. The post-disgrace made Mike Parsons seem like he hates transgenders because he did not, take action and say, all right, we're going to pardon this person. The last time that I looked at the statute books, which was actually this morning, there's no qualifier that says, okay, if you're a man or a woman and you kill somebody, but if you're transgender, you can do whatever you want. The left is pushing for equality for transgenders, and ultimately, I think this is the biggest test is, this person should not be treated in a different manner just because they're transgender. They did the crime. They do the time. They were judged by their peers that, look, you are going to be put to death because of this heinous act that you did when you were a biological man. It's crazy to think that news media outlets and the Democrats are working hand in hand to smear the governor because he said, look, I'm going to side with the people here, the jury that decided to put this person to death.
Switching gears real quick, Nick, because I want to get through a few things before we run out of time, talking to new Missouri Senator Nick Schroer. You and I have talked about this, and Rodney Boyd has mentioned this, and several others that are involved in Missouri politics have all kind of said the same thing about this legislative body, that there's a different personality. There's a different feeling going into this year than maybe in years past. And going back to your 6 years of experience, you could speak to that better than probably anybody else could. Do you, as we've now officially gotten underway and the body has met there in the state capitol, does that theory right now for you hold up? Does there seem to be a different personality and maybe some optimism that some of the frustrations of the past of not getting things done things might change this year?
Yeah, it was, going into this week, you had the governor's ball, legislative ball yesterday, and then got right down to business today. And that was one thing that I was curious to see, if that optimism, if that unity within the Republican Party would still occur once we actually clocked in and started going to work. And I think it kind of reminds me of when I was in grade school, there were some kids that would act up and the teacher would work with the principal, and ultimately, a couple times, that kids' parents would come in and sit in the classroom and just be there. And it was a total different dynamic after, the parent was there. The kid was acting right again. And that's what I kind of feel like the individuals that maybe still want to fight, maybe still want to have some personal attacks on other senators, they see that there's a new crew that came in with the new senators, myself included. We want to keep it professional. We want to start addressing these issues, like I just mentioned, the school issues, crime, that the people of Missouri have been salivating for by electing a supermajority Republican Party. So I kind of feel like we are the parents. The new senators are the parents sitting in the room saying, all right, let's make sure we get all this stuff done. We're not gonna put up with any chaos, any crap. Let's actually get to work. So going into next week, I think the committees will start getting doled out. Bills will start getting sent to committees, and the actual work will start gearing up. Hopefully we can continue this optimism and this Republican-conservative unity throughout 2023.
Yeah, because last year really specifically, we've been talking, you and I have been talking about this for years, but last year seemed like it really got to a new level of just, I don't know if it was obstruction. It just was like, it just like nothing could get accomplished. Nothing could get across the finish line. It was exceedingly frustrating. And while those feelings had existed in years past, certainly it seemed like last year, like we hit a new level. And so hopefully we are turning the corner and doing the exact opposite this year, and we'll see some results.
Now we're seeing the chaos in D.C. So it's kind of
So I wanted to switch gears to that before we had to hang up with you here. So it's official. The breaking news now is that the House is heading to a 9th round of voting. The 8th round, I have some of the numbers now, and just like we said, they are exactly the same. Once again, 20 Republicans not voting for Kevin McCarthy. He gets 201 votes again. That's been the same results over and over again here all day long. And now they will head to a 9th round. There was some early on going into that 8th round. There was some rumors, some stories coming out of the Capitol that they thought that some of those numbers were going to change, that he was going to get a little closer in the 8th round, but he did not. So now we head to round 9. And literally, Nick, it's like this is the definition of insanity. It's the same results every single time. So we keep doing the same thing, expecting different results, and I'm pretty sure that makes us all insane.
Well, I've got some mixed feelings on it. Over the past 4 or 6 years with Nancy Pelosi's rules, these people didn't actually have to go in, sit down on the House floor during debate, actually be there, being present for votes to be counted. So this has it's reverted back to Robert's Rules of Order. They have to be there. They have to give the clerk their vote. And you can just tell by these swamp creatures that they hate being there. Mm-hmm. So I kind of like the fact that they actually have to start debating and having conversations rather than voting, by a proxy or voting from their home office somewhere, just calling in Nancy Pelosi saying, yes, I'm voting no in favor of this bill or against this bill. But I truly do wish that they can find a solution here. It does kind of make the Republicans look like they have no idea what the hell they're doing. But at the same time, I'm not a big fan of McCarthy. I'm not a big fan of what he has done, and I would like to see somebody like Chip Roy, Jim Jordan, Thomas Massey, one of these staunch conservatives take the lead. But I do understand that, there is a massive movement, especially now that Donald Trump has said, yeah, let's go ahead and make sure that we can cut a deal here to make McCarthy the new speaker. Whatever happens, I think we're going to see a stalemate, so to speak, in Congress. If they get their act together, you still have the Democrats controlling the Senate, Republicans controlling the House, hopefully. But my biggest fear is if we don't come to some sort of solution, you might have some of these weaker Republicans, these rhinos, starting to team up with the Democrats, and they could install that one of the Democrats is the new speaker. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm hoping we get our act together prior to, but it is kind of bittersweet to see them actually doing the people's work and debating as they should have been doing over the past couple of years.
AOC said it yesterday. She said that the Democrats were willing to have a conversation about a coalition government and open the door for Kevin McCarthy to start wheeling and dealing to get some of those Democrats to vote. It's whether who knows what's going to happen, but something has to change. Either they have to try to switch votes from one party to the other. They have to nominate somebody completely different. But if they just keep running up the same, it's McCarthy, and we're just going to keep seeing these same results over and over again. Something has to change at some point. Nick, kept you really long there. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. Good luck to you and all of your compadres in the legislative body this year. Of course, you can hear Nick every Sunday here on News Talk STL. On Stand and Fight every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. So make sure you're tuned in to that. And we will talk to you many times, as I'm sure you will have a lot of updates for us as we roll through the 2023 legislative session in the state of Missouri.
Absolutely.
Senator
God bless
Nick
y'all.
Schroer, really appreciate your time, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Have a good week.
Yeah, back at you. Great stuff there from the new Missouri senator.
It feels like he's been a senator for such a long time. I'm very happy for Nick, but it does feel like he's been a state senator for a hot minute. Good for him.
Yep. So the president, in some news outside of the speaker situation, President Biden finally going to the southern border.
Can't believe it. Yeah. It's a miracle.
And he rolled out some new regulations when he made that announcement as well. So we will discuss some of those in just a moment right here on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Still love me, 'cause I know nothing is for certain. I know this most certainly. I once said I loved you. You once said
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Wellington Environmental, always helping you deal with any hospital, business, office, or home environmental hazards. Plus, Wellington Environmental, proud to be a sponsor of Larry Connors USA, starting January 9, right here on News Talk STL.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie. I love this song.
I know.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I got you, brother.
How long have you been back? Is this day 2 or 3?
What is
Three.
Thursday? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
3. Why did I have to count on my hands?
Why did I not know?
Why did I have to count on my hands for 3 days? Ugh.
This is the chaos of life these days.
Oh, my God.
I really couldn't remember if this was the 3rd day of the week because we weren't here on Monday, or if this was the 2nd day of the week. I really couldn't remember.
No one
there
judge me for that.
for just a
Either
moment.
don't judge Tony or I for anything.
Thanks again to new Missouri Senator Nick Schroer for joining us in that last segment. And don't forget, coming up here in just a few minutes, right after the 3 o'clock news, we are going to talk to JT from Pocket Watching with JT. Always loved checking in with him on Thursday afternoons, getting a little common sense financial advice, especially rolling into a new year. It's a perfect time to have that conversation. As I mentioned that last segment, more news coming out of the Capitol that doesn't surround the speaker situation is the fact that the president, Joe Biden, is finally going to go to the southern border, a place he has not been since he's been president. Nor did he visit the southern border for the 8 years that he was vice president.
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It has been decades since Joe Biden has visited the southern border.
What was the straw that broke the camel's back for him to actually go?
What were we waiting for?
Well, I mean, I think he just knew what he was going to face when he got to the border.
Well,
he knew what was in store for him when he got to that border.
Finally made the announcement that the president will be visiting the southern border next week, and he also announced some expanded border measures today, which are actually aimed at reducing the number of people coming into the borders and making it a little bit more difficult to do that, coming into the country and making it a little more difficult to do that, which is interesting because I wonder with the old flip test how these, right now, obviously we're very distracted. The news media, the news cycle, especially the Washington, D.C. media is very distracted by what's happening with the speakership. But I wonder how an announcement like this would have been covered if it was a Republican president making it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they would have had a harsher opinion of it if it was Donald Trump or another Republican making some of these announcements today. So I'll give you a few of the highlights here. The president said today these actions alone that I'm going to announce today aren't going to fix our entire immigration system, but they can help us a good deal in managing what is a difficult challenge. The president announced an expansion of humanitarian parole program for Venezuelan nationals to include Haitians, Cubans, and Nicaraguans. The program will allow 30,000 individuals a month from all 4 countries to be paroled into the U.S. for a 2-year period as long as they have a financial sponsor and pass other conditions. Those who attempt to enter illegally are made ineligible for the program. Let's see. There's another program that has taken away some of the abilities to claim asylumship in the country and just trying to, because we don't have very much time to get into the details of these things, but others that make it harder, essentially, to cross the border, which is kind of the opposite of what we're used to out of the White House and out of the Democratic Party. We'll see when these things are practically applied, if it really has any impact. But again, I wonder, I feel like it would be covered a little bit differently, or maybe covered at all, because I don't really see anybody talking about it today.
I absolutely agree with you.
If it was a Republican doing this.
I think if a Republican was doing this, it would be, I mean, there wouldn't be a single news station that you could turn on that this wouldn't be major. But I also think this smells like desperation. This stinks to high heaven of desperation to say, we're going to be a little stricter on what's going on at the border because I have such bad approval ratings. We're going to finally go visit the border because the presidential election is coming around the corner, and I need to, if I'm going to run again, I need to have some pretty good ratings. I need to bump it up a little bit, start having some good things to say about my campaign. This is just, to me, pathetic, to me, desperate. I'm happy that he's actually going to do it, but it's for the wrong reasons. So then what's the point? If it's for the wrong reasons, if the intention is different than what it should be, then don't bother. Why are you going?
Mm-hmm.
It's just...
Is he going to run again?
I think he will.
This is my... I'm starting to become obsessed with...
I think he will.
With whether or not Joe Biden's going to run again. Like, we're seeing a circus now, and it kind of gets my, like, juices flowing to see more just drama unfold. And could you imagine if the president does not run?
This is what I'm saying. I think that, again, I know he's old, and I know he's Joe Biden, and I know he is going through some things mentally, but there is he still has so much pride, and and that's what it will take. It is his pride, and it is his own dignity that he wants to uphold for him to run again. There is no way that anyone on his staff is like, this is a great decision, you should do it. I think Joe is like, there's no way that I can't. I have to do it.
Listen, this is perfect. If you were just listening to that last segment with Nick Schroer, we were talking about how long he's served, because he just moved from state rep to state senator, and he's served for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I've known Nick for a very long time, and I've only known him since he's been in Missouri politics. So in that 6 years. So think about how long of a time that is, 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Can you envision a world where in 6 years from now, Joe Biden is president still?
No.
6 years from now?
No, I cannot. Absolutely not. But
that's what makes me say that's what makes me think like he can't run. He's not going to run again, because I just can't envision a world where he's president in 6 years when he's 86 years old.
He might know that he's going to lose. He just is running to run. I don't know. I don't know the psychology of it.
Listen. Crazy things are happening with the speakership. Something crazy can happen with the presidential race, too.
It's
and
true.
I'm here for it.
It's true.
All right, don't go anywhere. We are going to get some common sense financial advice from our buddy JT from Pocket Watching with JT in just a moment. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Colombo and Katie, the new faces of talk radio.
Things are getting kind of gross, and I go at sleepy time.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats on sale Friday at 10 a.m. at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Yes, Epics and Classics, featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics, featuring John Anderson. With the Band Geeks live. Reserve seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics, featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
Hey, it's Vic. Everyone here at News Talk STL is incredibly grateful for the growth in our business during the first 18 months since we signed on the air. We appreciate the great local businesses like Southern Armory, Rhino Shield, Steph's Pizza, and the Walner team that have become one of our many advertising partners. If your business is interested in becoming part of the News Talk STL family, simply send an email to info@newstalkstl.com. We have a wide variety of affordable advertising options. And thanks for listening to News Talk STL. Welcome home.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
Biggs. Donalds.
The sound of the House reading clerk as Republicans
McCarthy.
cast their speaker votes during an
Bishop
8th
of
ballot.
Georgia.
A 9th ballot is now being taken as the effort to select a new House Speaker down its third day continues. Former U.S. Senator Jim Talent says hardline conservatives in the House are undermining their own agenda by weakening Kevin McCarthy. He says a strong party leader will help all factions within the GOP, and that conversely, a weakened leader will hurt all Republicans.
So if you're a hardliner, what you want to do is support the leadership generally, but anticipate where you don't trust them and use carrots and sticks to get them to do what you want on those issues.
Former Senator Talent interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Also at townhall.com, Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow Research Simon Hankinson tells the Salem Radio Network President Biden's approach to immigration reform leaves a lot to be desired.
It seems like the Biden administration gives anybody who shows up at the border with a pulse parole. And that, to me, is just a blatant abuse of the delegated powers of his administrative discretion.
Starting immediately, the U.S. will turn away Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, and Nicaraguans who cross the border illegally. At the same time, the U.S. will accept 30,000 people per month from those four nations if migrants have background checks and enter legally. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin has shown what physicians treating him are calling remarkable improvement over the past 24 hours. While Hamlin is still critically ill, the 24-year-old has demonstrated that he appears to be neurologically intact. A lower finish on Wall Street today. The Dow down 332 points and the NASDAQ losing 153. More at townhall.com.
See, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
Germany and Sweden have become the latest countries to require negative COVID tests in travelers coming from China.
Germany has joined other EU countries such as Italy, France and Spain in requiring tests on passengers arriving from China. Sweden, too, has announced it will demand travellers show a negative test. Beijing insists it's been transparent about sharing information on the virus with the World Health Organization after the UN agency said China was underrepresenting the true impact of the disease in terms of hospital admissions and deaths.
BBC correspondent Jessica Parker. Organized crime paralyzing the western Mexico city of Culiacan as alleged cartel members carjacked residents, setting vehicles ablaze and leading authorities to warn everyone just to stay inside. Authorities say such displays often come in response to arrest of cartel figures as their allies attempt to create chaos. Breaking news at townhall.com. First Lady Jill Biden will have a small lesion removed from above her right eye.
The lesion was discovered during a routine skin cancer screening, and presidential physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor says the 71-year-old First Lady will undergo the outpatient procedure next Wednesday at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland. Doctors recommended that the lesion be removed during what O'Connor describes as a common outpatient procedure. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Two major Southern law firms merging into one firm that will have offices on both coasts and more than 550 attorneys. The attorneys leading both Alabama-based Maynard Cooper and Gale and South Carolina-based Nexon Pruitt say there's similar philosophies and a trend toward companies wanting to deal with bigger law firms led to this merger. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. Our coldest morning of the week will be Friday morning, dipping down to around 29. Not frigid, but definitely a colder start. 47 in the afternoon, though, with a nice warm-up and partly sunny skies. So nice to see some sunshine. It won't be too windy, despite the cold start, a little warmer afternoon. And we're dry Friday, but Friday night to Saturday, even into the afternoon, evening, there's a chance for some scattered rain showers. Saturday's low 39, a high of around 46. Sunday, a high of 42 with mostly cloudy skies. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
So if you need to get some furniture cleaned in your house or your floors cleaned, after the holidays, maybe you had some parties and, they left a little wear and tear on things. If there is ever a company, a local service that the Colombo family has used over and over again, it is Zero Res. Thanks to kids and pets, my wife and I have relied on Zero Res to save our home many times. It doesn't matter if it's carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, basically every surface in your home can be cleaned or Zero Resified. And right now, to start the new year, 2023, if you get a cleaning in the month of January and you let them know that you heard about this offer on Colombo and Katie, tell them that Tony Colombo told you to call, or just ask for the Colombo special. If you book a cleaning in the month of January, mention the Colombo special and you'll get 23% off all services. My wife is already booking more cleanings. We've already had them out at the new house. We've only lived in the new house for a few months, and Zero Res has already been there. That's how much we rely on them to keep our home looking very good. We trust them completely, and if you need to get something cleaned, chairs, couches, floors, whatever it may be, call Zero Res and take advantage of this. Ask for the Colombo special. Get 23% off all services if you book a cleaning in the month of January. Book now at 314-474-2020. That's 314-474-2020. Or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forward or backward. It spells the same. Zero Res.
I've got a feeling deep inside. Oh yeah. I've got a feeling
Oh, no. Oh, that was bad. Here we go.
Just a little more. Just a little more.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I'm Tony Colombo. Katie is back. We figured out it's been 3 days, not 2 days, since Katie's been back.
Roger that.
And it being a Thursday, just after 3 o'clock, joining us on the phone is our buddy JT, Jason Thornton from Pocket Watching with JT. JT, always great to talk with you, my friend. How's it going?
Doing great, man. It's nice to hear Katie again.
I know, right?
Katie?
Thank you, JT. I've missed everybody here at the station. It's so great to be back.
So good to have Katie back. And I would imagine that we've kind of discussed this in recent weeks, JT, that obviously working in the financial sector, you're busy all year round. But with the new year and and New Year's resolutions and just kind of the natural time to start with a clean slate, I'm sure you hear a lot of promises this time of year from a lot of people that you work with. That JT, I'm gonna get my act together. JT, this is the year that we're gonna stick to the budget. JT, this is gonna be the year that we turn things around. But the trick is sticking with it. So, what is there? I would imagine that this is a little bit of a unique time of year for your industry as people try to put in new budgets and stick to new habits, which is never easy.
Absolutely. It's like being a financial advisor at the beginning of the year is a lot like being a personal trainer at the beginning.
Yes.
There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of promises.
New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. But then around March and April, there's a bit of a fall off. And what I always tell people is, listen, if you want to change your financial situation, you 100% you have the power to do it. Just do not become disappointed that overnight or over a week or a few months, your situation does not automatically change. Wherever you are financially right now, it took years to get in the position that you're in. And it may take years to get yourself out, but you gain confidence. Every day, every week, every month, you start to make right decisions with your money, and you start to see that your net worth is going up or your debt's going down, your emergency savings fund is growing, you're slowly growing your retirement fund. You will gain the confidence needed to see it all the way through. But if your expectations are too high for a short term of time, you will get disappointed and you'll fall back in the rut.
And, one of the things that I thought, I always mention that every time we have you on a Thursday or every time I tune in to Pocket Watching, I always learn something. I always take something away with me. And on a recent show that I was listening to, I remember you talking about, because I think a lot of us look at, when we think about changing our finances, our budgets, or things like that, we think of credit cards and home loans and car bills and those big things. And those are certainly things that we need to be talking about and addressing. But I remember you talking about it's everywhere. You can make savings, you can make cuts everywhere. When you're shopping, if you don't have to shop at, you may have to be shopping at Aldi's, or you might have to be shopping at the dollar store. Instead of using the name brand, you might have to use, the value time version of whatever product that whether it be food or, laundry detergent or whatever. But there's so many different areas that you can save in that can make a difference that I think people don't think about, because they just sort of automatically think about the big things like loans and homes and cars, right?
Right. Most of the time, when you talk about, you play football, we both played in the suburban North.
Yes, we did. Yes, right.
We played football. And when you talk to a football coach, and they'll tell you, you win and lose games based off of inches, right? One simple play, a play here, a play there, it's a few inches can make the difference between winning a football game. It's the same way with your finances. People get overly concerned about the big things. Oh, I've got a student loan loan debt that's, $30,000. I've got my mortgage that's so high. Yes, we understand that. But because you're so focused on the big thing, you'll buy an $8 cup of coffee once a day because that's just a drop in the bucket to you. It's not that big of a thing. But those small things are what add up that can make a big impact.
I don't know if you've we covered this on the show a few times a couple weeks ago when it was first announced, but I think it's been pushed back. I don't even know how much this has gotten really out there yet, but this new tax that could be coming to mobile pay services like Venmo and PayPal. Like so correct me where I'm wrong, but that looked like it could have been a big deal, like disastrous for people that use those apps, and especially if that's, part of what you do for a living involves those things. Like the taxes were about to go crazy, but that's been postponed a year now. Is that correct? Can you kind of explain what's going on with that?
Absolutely. So when it comes to these third-party payment processing apps and companies, people who allow you to use their systems to get paid through some debit card, credit card, some sort of payment transfer system. When you are a business, you're supposed to report all of your business income, regardless of how you receive it, if you receive it digitally or if you receive it through cash. And what happened in the past was if you had a certain dollar amount, like over $100,000, or if you had so many transactions, that third-party company would issue a form called a 1099-K. What ended up happening was there's so many people who receive money digitally for business purposes, and I want to point that out. They receive so much money for business purposes that are underneath that threshold that the IRS decided to lower it to match the regular 1099. The regular 1099 has always been, for a long time, $600 or more. The 1099-K was the one that had the higher limit, and they just lowered it down. Now, if you use these type of apps just for sharing money, like I send my wife a lot of money through those apps because it's just easy.
I love Venmo, JT. That's like my primary way of sending money is Venmo. It's amazing.
Right.
You send it to your wife. I send it to my kid at college. She's always.
That is not a taxable transaction. Right. But the thing is, the IRS did not give out clear instructions on how you can determine on the tax return if you are sending money to a friend or your wife or your kids versus you sending money to someone for a business transaction. So they postponed it for a year. But for all of you business owners out there who have been collecting money through those apps, you still 100% are liable to report that income. And we'll get clearer instructions over the next 12 months on what to do if you do get a 1099-K from one of these apps saying that you got X amount of money. And if it was just for, sharing money between friends, they'll let us know how to indicate that on the tax return.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they moved it back. That doesn't really impact me directly, but it just seemed like that was about to be a bomb dropped on millions of people that most people don't keep up with the tax code, so they wouldn't even know that what they were doing or know to change their habit or, anything else, change the way that they conduct business or collect money or whatever it may be or get paid because of these new taxes. And then all of a sudden, bam, here's a new bill, a new tax bill right in your face that you had no idea was even happening. So I'm glad it got postponed a year, but it still sounds like something that people, as more information comes out, we need to keep a close eye on because you don't want to be caught off guard by something like that.
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest things that would trigger an audit. So what would happen is you would file your tax return. You wouldn't report this money that came through one of these apps. The IRS computer, after 6 months or so, would automatically determine, hey, you didn't report this. You'll get a letter in the mail, and now you got to hire somebody like me to fix the problem for you.
That is right. JT from Pocket Watching with JT. Of course, you can subscribe to the now over 60,000 subscriber YouTube channel, Pocket Watching with JT, live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on YouTube. JT, for people that haven't had a chance to check out the show, as usual, if 2023 is the year that they want to get some common sense financial advice and check out what you have to say, what are all the best ways to do that?
Absolutely. I mean, this show is all about giving you smart money tips so you can live your best financial life. I want to thank all the listeners of News Talk STL. We hit over 65,000 Monday. Now we're 65,500
Let's
already.
go.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
That is excellent. Great stuff, JT. Thanks as always for your time. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right. Tony, Katie, I have a good one.
Yeah, back at you. That is Jason Thornton from Pocket Watch
great.
with JT, who not only has the show and is very smart, he works, as he mentioned, he works in the industry. He is a financial advisor, a financial planner. So he backs up what he talks about with actual personal daily experience. All right, so just a few minutes left before we have to turn things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, and some breaking news there while we were talking to JT. Ninth round of voting.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Has,
that sounds so ridiculous.
Has come and gone. There may be some straggler votes still happening, but we can officially say that Kevin McCarthy has again not been elected Speaker of the House after 9 rounds of voting.
In 3 days. That is so wild to me.
Yeah, I'm just seeing this. I just saw the headline pop up while I was talking to JT. I'm trying to see if there are any numbers. I'm sure. I don't have any reason to believe that it would be any different than every other round we've seen today. It's always 20 Republicans that don't vote for him. He's been getting 201 votes in every round. So I'm going to assume that it's that again, but I don't see that for sure. Tim Jones and Chris Arps will definitely have those numbers for you.
I have to say, so at our old station, I notoriously always talked about how much I liked Dan Crenshaw. I thought Dan Crenshaw was like the dude, amazing. I loved his energy. I loved like his freshness, his newness. I think he had a really a great head on his shoulders. He served. There were not many bad things I could say about Dan Crenshaw. And then on Tuesday, you brought up that he was calling some of his peers in Congress enemies. And then if the people that weren't voting or not supporting Kevin McCarthy, the Republicans that weren't doing that, Dan Crenshaw called them enemies to the party. And I didn't realize this, but also terrorists. He also said that. And that is a horrible thing to be saying. Those are two horrible, horrible things to be saying about your peers. If you guys have a difference of opinion on what's going on with Kevin McCarthy, him as a person, him as a leader, or just the process in itself, if you think, as Dan Crenshaw, he thinks this shows a lot of weakness, okay, you can think that. But why are you calling your colleagues enemies? Why are you calling them terrorists? That is insane. He also went on to say that they're selfish because they're putting their own political beliefs and everything over Americans' beliefs. I feel like that they're doing, again.
That's exactly what I want them to do. Not put themselves ahead of the American people, but I want them to stick to their convictions.
Yes.
Whether or not it goes along with, the majority, or, if it has to go against the grain. I will never fault a politician on either side, even if I completely disagree with them. If I believe they're doing what they're doing because from a genuine place, because they honestly believe it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
I will never fault a politician for that. And that's why, as much as I'd like to see this end, and as much as I'd like, for the sake of the country, for this, for them to be able to move on and start the business of the people and get this congressional session underway, I cannot hold it against these politicians, these Republicans in this case, that are saying that are sticking to what they have always said. The ones that have said for weeks and months in some cases that they are not going to support Kevin McCarthy. If I think you're doing it for disingenuous reasons,
sure,
that's a different story.
Absolutely.
But if you're staying true to the convictions that got you elected by the people that elected you, and they elected you for a reason, and you're there to serve them, then I don't want you to go along to get along or just kind of get indoctrinated into the swamp.
And I feel like I look at these comments from Dan Crenshaw and I'm like, that also feeds into this narrative that the Republicans are weak. You have the gumption to call your other Republicans enemies and terrorists when they are just doing what they believe is correct. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't really care if Kevin McCarthy is the speaker or not. I would like things to change. Will they change if it's him or someone else? I don't know. But I think that shows another layer of this disheveled party whenever you feel the need to call your colleagues something as horrible as an enemy or a terrorist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to criticize someone for not just falling in line.
Yeah. That's a bad criticism.
It's not what I want you to do. I don't want you to get elected and then go fall in line.
Yeah.
I want you to stand up,
shake
for
things up,
the beliefs that you campaigned on, that you were elected because of, and these Republicans that have said that have stated why they don't like Kevin McCarthy, and have stated for weeks that they're not going to vote for him. If they do now, at this point, just suddenly switch, then don't they lose a bunch of credibility?
Yes, absolutely.
Your word doesn't really mean anything anymore if you staunchly said, I'm never going to vote for Kevin McCarthy, and then you vote for Kevin McCarthy?
It happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She did a handshake deal with Kevin McCarthy.
It's happened to so many. It's happened to so many politicians. That's the norm.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm surprised that this is happening. I didn't think that this would happen because I figured swamp's going to swamp, and these people that did say they're not going to vote would be talked into it, given some promises.
Yeah.
A gavel here, a gavel there, like you said earlier.
Seriously.
And everything's okay. That's normally how it works, and it's not working that way. So, I don't think all the votes are in yet, but Kevin McCarthy is definitely set to lose the 9th round of voting. And keep it right here. Tim Jones and Chris Arps are coming in just a moment, and they will get you those numbers as they develop and get you the latest on the circus happening in the nation's capital. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Great show today with new state senator Nick Schroer and then JT from Pocket Watching with JT. If you missed anything or you just want to make sure you never miss anything here on the show, subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whatever it may be, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, and many, many more. Subscribe to the Colombo and Katie podcast and also subscribe to the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. All right, Tim Jones and Chris Arps coming in next. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
News commentary.
Needless to say, our first few days in the Slim House majority haven't been our best and brightest. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
If I could be you.
And you could be me? For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Can't even settle on a speaker in a timely manner. This does not bode well for 2024. Republicans, get your heads in the game, or we might as well hand this country over to the radical communists and get it over with. McCarthy wasn't my first choice either. Republicans don't exist in a monolith like the Democrats. We don't just ride or die our party off a cliff, but this strategy ain't working. And while some in the party